Okosi, Senior Vice President and Managing Director for Viacom International Media Networks, Africa.
Alex, you've recently done a piece of survey work looking at the viewers of MTV in Africa. What does that tell you about that kind of key group in Africa, the 18 to 35-year-olds?
What it tells us, when we look at our global research and also look at the Africa research, is that young Africans are almost becoming as the same as every young person around the world. They aspire for the same things. They want to be successful, which is a key attribute that's coming through in all the research that we do around the world and what we've just found from young Africans. They want a better future for themselves. For them, it's really, really important to know where they're headed. What inspires them seems to be the same thing, the same sort of leadership. They don't just look at African leadership, they look at global leaders now. Social media is an important part of their lives. If you look at some of the shows that we've launched, whether it's our Twitter request show or etc., the numbers have gone up exponentially because they engage. They really want to have a voice.
They want to be part of the conversation.
They're part of the conversation. They want to lead the conversations oftentimes, which is fantastic. If you look at some of the initiatives like MTV Based Meets with MTN that we also rolled out, they really engage with that program quite a lot, which means that they really are interested in the key issues and really engaging with the leadership and people that have, in a lot of ways, changed their world. They want to understand how they can also be a part of that culture of creating things that are of value to the continent and to the world in general. So I think what we're finding is that young Africans, there's no such thing as particularly young Africans and young Americans anymore. Globalization is really, really, really
But presumably in musical terms there must be key distinct differences. There's a great difference between D'banj and 50 Cent, isn't there?
There's key distinct differences, but D'banj and 50 Cent want the same thing, right? D'banj wants to be successful in Africa and in the US, right? So hence the reason why Kanye West, I've signed him and he's excited about that. So the differences may be in the sound of the music, but what they want to achieve at the end of the day, the same level of success and record sales, being able to be stars on stages in Nigeria or South Africa or
how do
New York.
How do they see success? How do they measure success?
I think success is for most people is going to be are they being able to sell out the dates and are they being able to sell their album? So there's the monetary aspect of it, and obviously the recognition, the appreciation by the fans.
That's obviously for the artist. I was thinking more for the viewers when you were saying that the viewers want to be successful.
For them, success is really, young people in Africa right now when you look at the global economy, success for them is being able to get a job, get a career, and being able to, if they want to have families, be able to be in a position to build their families, and also to do the things that they like to do, whether it's travel, whether it's acquire material goods, but also there's a strong element of them wanting to make an impact in their communities, which is probably untraditional in the past, where there's a lot more of an emotional connection to not only being a rebel or doing something different or irreverent, is actually not connecting to your family, connecting with your friends, having a community that in a lot of ways you belong as part of, and you can do stuff to be able to also serve.
But maybe that's what's different between Africa and other places is, in other places you have subcultures which are about being different from your parents, and are, as you were saying, about rebelling.
I think if you look at some of the research we've done globally, looking at our international channels, it doesn't actually speak to that. It speaks that young people are more engaged and they really don't want to be as different anymore. They actually are now looking towards being responsible. They want to have better lives. They want to have lives that connect with their social environment and whether it's in the issues of climate change, etc. So it's actually very different from the young people that used to be labeled as the real rebel rousers of the world. Today we're finding more and more that young people are a lot more engaged and a lot more looking at those sort of what I would say more traditional values than ever before, which again I think
what form will that engagement take? What kind of issues are they interested in? What's the way in for them?
I think that the issues that they're interested in are in a whole bunch of different areas, whether it's the issues of politics, who's going to lead them tomorrow. Obviously the big thing that's happening around the world that young Africans are interested in as much as I think young Americans are, the election, right? Who's going to be the U.S. president? Yes, he probably helps the Barack Obamas in the run-in and he has some African roots, but I think that there's also an interest in that because oftentimes, given the global sort of recession environment, people think that and believe that America's betterment will obviously serve the world better, and that the economies of the world will be pulled off, and America's able to obviously grow at a lot faster rate. So there's a lot of interest in that. So you find young Africans are talking about the debate that happened, 3 weeks ago on the first one, and just trying to measure up and really being interested in what happens in that realm, which is politics. That's actually beyond their country borders or the continental borders, which I think is quite interesting as something. There's a little bit of a change, So I think the young person today is not regionally, it's very globally connected because with Facebook and Twitter, in any given second, information flow is also two-way. So they're also they're part of that conversation while conversation is coming to them. So it's a very, very, very exciting space. It leads you to think a lot about how communication or broadcasting will be in the next 10 years. I think that it's going to be a change. It's going to be a point where, again, it's going to be so platform agnostic that you really need to be so good at being able to create content that connects in all the different touch points that young people,
And how do you
with.
become interactive in the way that those young people want to be?
I think it's just providing them that platform to feedback. So as I mentioned to you earlier, one of our most successful shows is our Twitter request show, right? So they get a chance to actually tweet as the show is going on and also be able to request. And it's a platform that they're used to, right? They're on Twitter all the time, they're on Facebook. So that's kind of how you have to build an element to be able to have them have a conversation. So it's not you being the voice. You're no longer just speaking to them per se, but it's a two-way conversation that's going on between you, the programmer, and them, the viewers, and now becoming also programmers themselves.
Alex, thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you very much.